Airbus H145, being provided as part of the MFTS, Military Flying Training Scheme program, which is radically updating the RAF and through CHFS.
When we came back from Finland, we were just south of the borders. My secondary education was in the Lake District in Hungary. So I'm northern through and through. I didn't go to university. Career choices.
As Red 1 leads the formation over in big battle, the coloured smoke changes to white as he bends the formation around to the left, calling them into short diamond. Leading the team is Red 1 squadron leader Martin Pert. Martin is a former Harrier and Typhoon pilot, was previously a Hawk instructor, and is in his first year as team leader. As Red 1 leads short diamond off to our right hand side, he's about to transition into the first of our aircraft formations. To the outside of the formation to form the wings of Typhoon. Red 1 about to bank the formation round. Red 1 having to switch from a rolling display to a flat. The cloud off to our right hand side is getting lower unfortunately, so he's switching between displays to make the most of the conditions. On the right of Typhoon, on the right of Red 1, is Red 2 Flight Lieutenant John Bond. John is a former Tucano instructor and display pilot and joins the team from the Typhoon Force. Now approaching us from the front, Red 1 has moved the formation into Lightning. This 5th generation stealth aircraft has just come into service at RAF Marham and is capable of simultaneous air-to-ground, air-to-air and electronic warfare missions. This is Lightning. right of Lightning is Red 4, Flight Lieutenant Chris Linden-Smith. Chris is a former Tornado GR4 pilot and Hawk instructor, and he's returned to the team for a second tour and is in his second year. As the smoke comes back on, the edges of Lightning sweep forward into a very technically difficult formation for the pilots. We have 6 aircraft all flying side by side, line abreast in Phoenix. On the left of Red 1 in Phoenix is Red 3, Squadron Leader Mike Ling. Mike was formerly a display pilot on the team. He then did 6 years as Red 10 and returned to the team for 2018 as Red 3. This is Phoenix. Moves off to our right-hand side, Red 1 having to modify the display for the conditions. That cloud to our front right just getting in the way as he... Red 1 banking the formation round to the right, trying to make the best of the weather here. He's going to take Diamond away from us, then hopefully bend it round to the left, changing into Tornado, ready to come from our left-hand side. At the back of Diamond is Red 7, Flight Lieutenant Toby Keeley. Toby is a former Tornado GR4 pilot and Hawk T2 instructor. He's in his second year on the team. In front of Red 7, in the middle of Diamond, is Red 6, the leader of the Synchro pair. That's Flight Lieutenant Cy Taylor, a former Tornado and Typhoon pilot in his 3rd and final year on the team. Well, Red 1 has just called them into Tornado. Reds 8 and 9 are moving off the back of the formation. As they come towards us, the smoke will come on, the air brakes will be out. Red 1 will call 8-9 roll go. I know Red 9 is going to be excited about this one. Let's hear him call aboard as they start Tornado. Aboard calls Red 9 as the smoke of 8 and 9 comes on, rolling around the rest of the formation. Red 1 about to bend the formation to the left with the smoke colour changing. Keep those cameras rolling, this might be the show finale. It's Tornado.
One of nearly 15,500 T6s and Harvards that were built in total. Many of them continue to serve post-war. The last RAF trainees to receive their wings on the Harvard did so in March 1955, but it took 40 more years for the South African Air Force to retire its final Harvards from the training role. And then the last Harvards on military charge in the UK were those of Kinetic, the test and trials organisation at Boscombe Down, not retired until 2016. Final pass from the Harvard 3. Beautifully flown by John Beattie, former commanding officer of the Royal Navy Historic Flight, and indeed this aircraft has been used regularly by the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight and Royal Navy Historic Flight as a tail dragger trainer, accustoming pilots to the handling characteristics of a higher performance piston-engined tail wheel as opposed to nose wheel undercarriage aircraft. John also the Royal Navy did come up against the aircraft type we're about to see during the course of the Korean War from 1950 to 53, as did other machines in service with the United Nations Air Arms. This was the second jet to be developed by the Mikoyan Gurevich company in the Soviet Union after the straight-winged MiG-9. The swept-wing MiG-15, because that's the aircraft we're going to see next, made a great deal of use in its design of captured wartime German technology. The Germans had pioneered, of course, swept-wing jet aircraft design. But there was British influence in the engine because the Soviets had a UTI.
Yeah, I think even out switching it again.
North American F-86 Sabre jet fighters of the US Air Force were sent to Korea as a rapid response to the MiGs, but the MiG was still better at high altitude than the Sabre. It had a superior rate of climb and it accelerated more quickly. And over northwestern Korea, there became known an area as MiG Alley, which forced the United Nations to suspend daylight attacks by Boeing B-29 Superfortress bombers in favour of night missions. But at lower levels, the Sabre still had the edge, and the greater experience of the American pilots, many of whom had seen action in World War II, started to win the day, especially when later model Sabres were available.
Hey, pal. If you want, pal. They're just up in that corner, in that bag.
Historical squadron based at Rugge in Norway since 2014 to represent the Cold War enemy. As a MiG-15 fighter pilot, was stationed at Luostari, close to the Norwegian border. And it recalls the many Cold War confrontations between Soviet and Norwegian aeroplanes. MiG-19, very distinctive MiG-21. The variable geometry MiG-23 and its derivative, the 27. Aircraft, a WSK Mielec SB Lim 2 as it very elegantly flown indeed by Kenneth Vissler, the founder and boss of the Norwegian Air Force Historical Squadron. He's got nearly 15,000 flying hours to his smoke on, and you can see how the smoke is being blown, and indeed they're being buffeted around as they pull up into the vertical. These aircraft, both tandem two-seaters with dual controls, so it can be flown from the rear seat, powered by four-cylinder 160 horsepower Lycoming engines, and a very versatile proposition for the private pilot. A speed range of between 50 and 210 miles an hour available. They cruise at 160 miles an hour, so they're very practical for touring, as well as the more exciting sort of flying that we see being demonstrated here. They are aerobatically stressed to +6 and -3G. And leading the close formation pair today is John Gowdy, who, like many pilots in the display, started flying in his teens. When he was just 14 years old, he got airborne for the first time with the Southdown Gliding Club in Sussex, and his display flying began when he was just 17 as the tug pilot for a glider display team. In for a barrel roll. So named because it traces the outline. Down back onto the line for a loop. The team leader, John Gowdy, got his commercial pilot's license in 2001, and it was around that time that he began display flying in larger aeroplanes, and like quite a few people on the display circuit, he owes a lot in that regard to Air Atlantique, the company at Coventry Airport that operated a huge range of veteran aeroplanes, particularly veteran piston-engined aircraft like the Dragon Rapide, the Twin Pioneer and the DC-3, but also jets like the Van Air Leasing at Sywell, their two-seater on passenger flights and air displays, and Andy also now flies for the Fighter Collection at Duxford. As I was saying earlier, you really can see during this display the effects of the wind up at altitude. Both pilots having to work extremely hard in what are, in spite of being very capable aeroplanes, still light, relatively low-powered machines, and having to manage their energy really, really carefully during this display. Formation in towards us.
Yes, correct.
And pulling up, putting smoke back on, I expect. And as they go vertical, there goes the smoke, and there they separate for the heart. Very nice indeed, and that concludes an excellent display in these challenging conditions from John Gowdy and Andy Gersten, the 2018 Fireflies display team. It was very rigorous. The aircraft had to have 2 crew members. It had to be able to withstand between +8 and -3 G. It had to be able to fly on aircraft carriers, which meant very short takeoff and landing capabilities. It had to have a top speed of 350 miles an hour. It had to carry 2,400 pounds of cargo, 6 parachutes or stretchers, and so the requirement was one, by design for North American Aviation, they called the NA300. Service it became known as the OE-10 Bronco. The US Marine Corps that brought them into service on observation and forward air control duties, and it proved an outstanding weapon in the Southeast Asia conflict. Here is the Bronco. Soon started getting into the thick of the action. They directed strikes by fast jet attack aircraft, AC-47 Spooky gunships based on the C-47 Skytrain, the US military variant of the Douglas DC-3, and by ground artillery. They provided post-strike damage assessment. They escorted C-123 provider transports on the so-called branch hand defoliation missions. This was an aircraft that truly in Southeast Asia was a jack of all trades. rather received renewed attention in recent years because there are now increasing needs that the US military and others have identified for light attack or counterinsurgency aircraft in theatres such as Afghanistan, where there's no point risking the modern latest generation fighters. And so, a pair of upgraded Broncos OV-10G Plus models aircraft into battle during their service from 1968 until 1995. Final pass with undercarriage down and now cleaning up before departure. The North American OV-10B Bronco, flown by Tony De Bruyne. Should be impressed in Lancashire. The Hughes OH-6A, the Loach. Fast and agile, and a huge advance on the helicopters that have preceded it in that role. Armament, 7.62mm machine guns or grenade launchers. And this one went right into harm's way on the 17th of August 1970 when it was serving with the 20th Transport Company of the US Army in Vietnam. It was on a reconnaissance sortie over South Vietnam when it was hit by small arms fire while flying at just 100 feet, because these helicopters of course operated very much in the low-level environment. It took 11 hits on its underside, damaging the fuel system and some other components. Of the 3 crew members, just one was slightly injured. The helicopter made a forced landing and was later declared unflyable. It was shipped back to its manufacturer Hughes, repaired and transferred to the US Army National Guard. Later it served with the US Drug Enforcement Agency until it was sold in 2004. Later it was bought by Phil Connolly to add to his other historic helicopter that's now running up on the flight line. Returned to flight in 2011, restored into its Vietnam era colours, and it's got a decommissioned 7.62mm 6-barrel minigun mounted on the...
This is the end, beautiful friend. This is the end, my only friend. The end of our elaborate plans. The end of everything that stands. The end, no safety or surprise. The end, I'll never look into your eyes again.
Responded to a US Army requirement for a new utility and medical evacuation or Medivac helicopter. Its much more diminutive Bell 47 had gained a great deal of experience in those roles during the Korean War. Hughes would transport troops in, others that were fitted with machine guns or rockets would provide protection for them. The sound of just one Huey is impressive enough. Imagine what the noise must have been like of a horde of these helicopters sweeping over the battlefields of Southeast Asia. Just over 7,000 UH-1s served in Vietnam. More than 3,300 of them were destroyed for the loss of around 2,200 of their crew members. This one served in Vietnam with the 129th Assault Helicopter Company until 1973. It was transferred to the US Army National Guard and various support units until it was retired in the year 2000. Then, a few years later, it was shipped to the UK for its new owner, MSS Holdings, and it once again wears its Vietnam markings. Huey's still very much in operational service with many air arms, although numbers have gradually been dwindling because even a great helicopter such as this eventually has its day. But the memory of the type in Vietnam, very much perpetuated by this one, the Bell UH-1H Iroquois of MSS Holdings. They could do better. They came up with the NA-73, it later became the Mustang, and this running in from the left is the P-51D model.
That's more like it. Guys, like a lawyer.
Bombers all the way to and from their targets deep in occupied Europe. Of those missions, it was a significant contribution to Allied victory. This aircraft today with the Hangar 11 collection served not with the 8th or 9th Air Forces in the UK, but the 15th Air Force stationed in Italy, where it flew escort and ground. Time to show your appreciation for the Hangar 11 Collection's P-51D Mustang. And also to show your appreciation for its pilot, because that was the last time we'll see Peter Teichmann, the founder and boss of the Hangar 11 Collection, displaying at East Fortune. He's flown here. This was the product of steady development of the Jet Provost line. The first major production variant was the Mark III, which had a more powerful version of the type's Rolls-Royce Viper engine. It also added ejector seats, strengthened wings, and wingtip fuel tanks for additional fuel. The Mark III came into use with number 2 flying training school at Syerston in 1959, and its first all-jet training course graduated the following year. Then came the Mark IIIA with upgraded avionics, and then the Mark IV further improved with a still more powerful Viper. The last pass in from our left once again, the BAC Jet Provost T5 operated by Jet Aerobatics from East Midlands Airport.
And now, running in from the centre at over 200 miles per hour is a 2018 Royal Air Force Tube Display pilot, Flight Lieutenant Andy Sale. As he pulls up at 5G, he converts speed to height to perform his first manoeuvre, the Quarter Clover. Andy was born in Oxford and joined the Royal Air Force in 1984. Following a tour in Germany with the RAF Regiment, he started flying training in 1988. Graduation, he was posted to RAF lineman to fly the Hercules. In Afghanistan and Libya, during his career, he's flown nearly 12,000 hours on 10 different aircraft types. The vast aviation experience of a skilled pilot like Andy is entirely fitting for the RAF 100. When it comes to air experience flying, there are 12 flights serving 1,000 Air Cadet squadrons nationwide. You can join the Air Cadets who are between 12 and 17 years old. From the age of 13, you can go gliding in the Viking or fly in the Tutor and request to experience these aerobatic manoeuvres. For those of you that are older, there are 15 university air squadrons across the UK, all linked to nearby universities. As well as flying, there is a huge opportunity for personal development, embracing the Royal Air Force's core values of respect, integrity, service and excellence, with sport and adventurous training around the world. University Air Squadron members are not committed to a military career after graduation. However, many do decide to join us. Furthermore, there are sponsorship schemes available to ease the financial burden of university life. And you'll now fly out to your right, form a half horizontal 8, followed by a loop. The Royal Air Force has an exciting future with the arrival of Lightning II and the P-8 Poseidon. Andy is now approaching the end of the display, positioning to bring the Tutor down to 100 feet for his low pass, and make sure you give him a wave as he flies through. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, as we celebrate 100 years of the service, give a wave for the 2018 Royal Air Force Tutor Display.
By one of the aircraft that makes up the Royal Air Force's modern day front line. The aircraft aircraft very much on current operations, particularly Operation Shader, the UK's element of the fight against the so-called Islamic State, or Daesh, in Iraq and Syria. They're engaged there at this very moment. Now, the retirement next year of the venerable Panavia Tornado GR4 is really bringing to the fore the RAF's need, the aircraft that we're about to see, to become truly multi-role, to fulfil all the Tornado's different missions. And to that end, BAE Systems is developing what's known as Project Centurion, which will introduce the phase 2 and 3 enhancements to this aeroplane, bringing new air-to-air and air-to-ground missiles into its armoury. Play season, it's in the hands of Flight Lieutenant Jim Peterson. And I expect, judging from the cloud base, we're going to see his full display. He'll be making a high-speed arrival at about 500 knots into a barrel roll. And from then on, the thunder of the two Eurojet EJ200 afterburning turbofan engines barely ceases for the first several minutes of his demonstration. It's an aeroplane with so-called carefree handling, the digital fly-by-wire system not allowing the pilot to take the aeroplane outside of its envelope. Like many modern designs, the basic configuration of the Typhoon is inherently unstable, so the fly-by-wire system is, of course, vital. Small so-called flaperons on the aircraft's wings give roll control. The flaperons and the canard foreplanes you'll see on the aircraft give pitch control. Yaw control comes from the rudder. It's an incredibly advanced machine, a very agile machine, a very exciting machine, the RAF Typhoon FGR-4. Into a climbing maximum performance spiral climb. And coming past us for the last time, the Eurofighter Typhoon FGR-4. Squadron. And that was the end of the flying programme at Scotland's National Air Show 2018.